Hare Krishna devotees. A short video. These were just some pictures that were taken some 30 years ago while I was traveling with Guru Maharaj. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, I would like to introduce our guest speaker today, Kandarpa Manjari. A little bit by way of background then. Kandarpa Manjari Mataji took the initiation from Guru Maharaj in 1991. She joined ISKCON actually 10 years earlier in 81 in Laguna Beach in California. Guru Maharaj then sent her to South Africa in 1990 with the first group of initial devotees who went to South Africa to help with the yatra just after Nelson Mandela's release. And she stayed there for up to 10 years, in fact, preaching at universities and training new devotees. She traveled also extensively in India with different tours that Guru Maharaj arranged. And some of those pictures were exactly from those tours. And she stayed at the disciples' house to learn Bengali cooking. Would be a little bit more interested to know about that. She assisted Guru Maharaj on the harmonium during his travels, and you may have noticed one of those pictures there as well, where Kandarpa is doing exactly that. Actually, is holding the sheet music in front of Guru Maharaj. That was, I think, that was in Vrindavan, I believe. That picture was taken, I think. So that's, it's a wonderful picture, actually. And then after her marriage, she moved back to the USA and settled at the north of Los Angeles, close to an ashram where Guru Maharaj stays. And she served there for the last 22 years, in fact, in various capacities as a Sunday school teacher, running children's booth at Bhakti Charu. And she's blessed to have one daughter whom she's homeschooled, which is, well, I don't think it's that unusual nowadays, but I guess it's still unusual-ish. So I'd like to welcome Kandarpa Manjari. So devotees, please, if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask along the way, or raise your hand in the chat, or type something in the chat. And we'll also leave 10 minutes or so towards the end for questions. So I'd invite Kandarpa Manjari to sort of take over and churn some of that, more of that nectar of her travels with Guru Maharaj. And I guess also how she came in contact with devotees initially. So over to Kandarpa Manjari.
Thank you, Gaura Hari. Thank you so much. So I think I would like to start with how my journey began with Guru Maharaj, because it was a very unique situation in ISKCON that we don't really face anymore. And it was in 1986, I was in Laguna Beach Temple. And that was the time when there was problems with some of the gurus that had actually fallen down. And Guru Maharaj was very concerned about the devotees. So he was traveling all over America. And he personally knew Agni Dev, who was at that time the temple president of Laguna Beach Temple. And Guru Maharaj really liked the temple because, first of all, it was kind of, they were trying to replica Mayapur. And they had the Panchatattva deities. They were the first Panchatattva deities installed in America. And there was a devotee who actually lives in Mayapur. He actually drew the backdrop, which was the Jalangi. And it was, when he came there, of course, Agni Dev with his Bengali bhajans. And at that time, we were all wearing Bengali saris and trying to imbibe the mood of Bengal. So Guru Maharaj came and he felt right at home, of course. And this was like a thing that, this was his mood. So I'm going to read an excerpt from a letter that Guru Maharaj wrote to me just when I had decided to join him in 1990. But what he wrote is very significant of the mood of that time and why Guru Maharaj was traveling. And he wanted to really help the devotees. And he just wanted to give them shelter. So here's Guru Maharaj saying, I can well imagine how painful it must have been for you to lose your spiritual master. It is extremely unfortunate. It could have been awfully devastating, but Srila Prabhupada made his divine arrangements and provided us with the shelter of the association of devotees through ISKCON. And that's why, in spite of such catastrophe, we all are still here in Krishna consciousness and we are able to continue our spiritual life. Always remember that the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet is eternally there as long as we remain loyal to him. Although you lost your father, your grandfather is always there, and he is more merciful than anyone else. This was like such an amazing, I mean, whatever Guru Maharaj speaks, it's like amazing. And I feel like this even pertains to us, that we've lost him. I mean, physically. And it just, he wanted the devotees to feel that ISKCON is the shelter. So this is how my journey started. I wrote to Guru Maharaj and I asked for shelter. And he invited me to travel with him to South Africa. And first I stopped in England. I was there for 3 months until Guru Maharaj arrived. And then 5 of us, I think it was 5, maybe Gaurahari, you can correct me. I think it was Priyavrata, myself, Manjari, and I think her name is, it's a husband and wife. They're from Mauritius, I think. So we were asked to go with Guru Maharaj. And I think one of the main things that attracted me why I took shelter of Guru Maharaj is because he really took care of his disciples in such a way that he trained them in Vaishnava etiquette. And he wanted to really exemplify the qualities of a Vaishnava. And this really intrigued me because I had never met anyone who gave very specific instructions how to behave in a Vaishnava community. Even though in those days, in early days, we were just told what to do and we just followed. But because of this break, Guru Maharaj wanted to really establish what is Vaishnava etiquette, what are relationships, what our relationships with devotees are, what's the role of the spiritual master. He was very passionate about this. Like this was like his project at that time. So we arrived in South Africa, and we first arrived in Johannesburg, and then Guru Maharaj decided to take a connecting flight to Durban. So we all went with him. And it was amazing because it was like when Srila Prabhupada traveled, he always had devotees with him. And I remember distinctively feeling that here's Prabhupada's man, he's representing Prabhupada. Because at that time, I was very hurt. So I like took shelter of Guru Maharaj, but it wasn't like that deep connection yet. So I was still trying to take shelter of Prabhupada. So with that kind of consciousness, I felt, oh, look at Guru Maharaj. He's just like Prabhupada, traveled with the devotees. And everywhere we went, his first concern was if we were being taken care of, if we were fed prasad. totally felt taken care of. That was one of Guru Maharaj's distinct qualities when you traveled with him, that you totally felt cared for in all aspects, like your living situation, your prasadam, your association. So when we arrived in Durban, we all kind of went to our respective rooms where we were staying. And then Guru Maharaj called me, and I went to where he was staying. At that time, Durban, there were rooms downstairs, and one of them was his quarters. And when I walked in, to my surprise, it wasn't Guru Maharaj alone. Giriraj Swami was sitting next to him. So he brought me in, and he said, I want to introduce you to the GBC of South Africa. He's my co-GBC. This is Giriraj Swami. And so then Guru Maharaj asked me, what can we do for you? And I was very taken back, because in ISKCON at that time, it was very authoritarian. It was like, yes, this is what you do, and we don't really care what you think. So that, that mood again of being very concerned for the devotees. I said, being in this Prabhupada consciousness at that time, I said, I really want to be like Srila Prabhupada conscious and really learn from Prabhupada disciples. And he said, well, here's the Prabhupada man. And he turned to Giriraj Swami and said, you can learn from him. He tells you everything about Prabhupada. So I was like a little shy, but, I was very focused on Guru Maharaj. Now I'm being introduced to other people. And so, I was a little reserved, but I kind of accepted. Little did I know that in my future, Giriraj Swami would be very prominent. So you can see how it all, Guru Maharaj was just like a puppet in Krishna's hands, and he was just conducting. He never felt possessive over anyone or any disciple. He really felt the mood that this is ISKCON and this is Prabhupada's movement, and we are one big family. This was definitely, I think, for me, the most significant quality of Guru Maharaj that even today, it's very rare to find someone who is just that selfless and connected to ISKCON through Prabhupada, and just being that being. So I don't know if you have any questions. So there was and go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I would like to invite devotees, if you have any questions, please take advantage of this opportunity. You can either put your hand up or put something in the chat. I very much encourage you to ask any questions that come to mind. Yeah.
Well,
if I may, then.
Yes.
You mentioned, okay, you met Guru Maharaj in Durban, and yeah, that's the Chatsworth temple, isn't it? I'm guessing, in the temple itself. Right. Yeah. And then he introduced you to Giriraj Maharaj. Well, you said you were surprised or shocked even that was the case. I mean, I was okay. Could you expand upon that?
Yeah, because I wasn't very, my faith had been very shattered. So I was specifically just taking shelter of Guru Maharaj, because he, it was just the very beginning stages of our relationship, in a sense that I took shelter of him, and he said, come to South Africa. And I wasn't like open to all people and all gurus or anything like that. It was just specifically Guru Maharaj, because I was hurt, and I didn't know so many people, and so that it was just very it was very circumstantial. It was my case, I think, more than others. It was because I was reinitiated, so it was a different case. You know, when people take shelter of their guru, they have firm faith and absolute, you know, nishta, guru nishta.
Mhm.
And you know, for us who've had that broken, it is it's very interesting. But Krishna always takes the devotee to the right place at the right time for their Krishna consciousness to develop. And I think for me, coming to South Africa, and Guru Maharaj was that instrument, that person who Krishna appointed to bring me there and to fan my Guru Nishta again. It was definitely South Africa. That was the place that, you know,
Yeah.
for me.
South Africa is, you know, it used to be, certainly, I'm not sure it still is, a wonderful preaching field. I mean, I only spent the time, you know, the few trips where I accompanied Guru Maharaj there, you know, just traveling to Durban, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, like that. And it used to be it was a wonderful experience, actually, just traveling and you know, a little bit of preaching that I did was just like just calendar distributions on door to door. And people are very open and, you know, will welcome you into their house. And so it was a wonderful experience in South Africa. But,
Yeah, and
okay,
also, no, I agree with you, because I think that it's very interesting because South Africa went through several gurus who had left.
yes, that's true.
And they have been through quite a lot, right?
Mm.
But the devotees in South Africa have a very impeccable faith. They just love their gurus, and their guru nishta is, I would say, exemplary there, because every devotee that I know of, they worship their guru. They have a lot of faith. And I think that's why I said what I said. Krishna sent me to South Africa to experience that, to develop, to really deepen my faith in guru. And that environment, like you said, the devotees are amazing there. They have a lot of faith. Guru Nishta, they serve the Maharajas very well. It's probably one of, next to India, one of the best places. And back to that, actually, Guru Maharaj, one of the main instructions that he first gave me when I came to South Africa, he instructed me to become the servant of the devotees. And the servant of the devotees, one you serve, that's Krishna will give you more responsibility when you become the servant of the devotees. And he very often quoted that in a lot of letters to me personally. And like he said, before you become a leader, you have to become a servant. And he always said that. It was like that was his thing at that time. He really preached that also, because I think he was also in that mood, because the movement had been gone through a tremendous setback, and Guru Maharaj had to mend it. And this was his way, just serve the devotees. He was just the servant of the servant of the servant. And this is, I mean, a very high platform, spiritual platform to be on. You know,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned you came to the UK, which is, of course, where I'm based. And so before going to South Africa, where were you based? Were you based in America then before that?
in Laguna Beach, yeah.
Oh, Laguna
And
Beach, yeah.
yeah, I joined in Laguna Beach, and I served there for 10 years. Like, I left in 1990. I joined in 81. So it's like 9 years I was there. And it was,
how do you get that sort of, you surrendered, you know, you were there in Laguna Beach 9-10 years, and, you know, you kind of then have to pack up everything and move to South Africa. So it's quite a big move and decision.
Well,
Depends on.
I think, okay, for one, the situation there was not good for my spiritual life.
Mm.
So that made it easier. And secondly, I really wanted to be, because in my first relationship, my first guru, I didn't have a lot of personal association. So, Guru Maharaj was very available to his disciples. He was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I wanted that. And I wanted to change. It was extremely difficult for me. It was a leap of faith. I remember having to go to a new country. I didn't know anyone. But that is surrender. That is the process of surrendering, that when the guru gives you that instruction. For me, it was a test. Okay, Guru Maharaj wants me to do this. At that time, like I said, I wasn't like I had absolute faith, but I knew that the process of making advancement is you have to surrender to a guru. That is our philosophy. It's written in Bhagavad Gita, surrender to a guru. Because these days, sometimes when the guru gives a disciple an instruction, sometimes there's hesitation. And I had just recently, we heard a lecture by Gaurang Prabhu from Chopati, and he was saying that Radhanath Swami had given him an instruction about building the eco-village. And they didn't have faith in him in that instruction. They were like, why does he want us to do that? So he was explaining the process of his surrender to build this project. So I kind of see it that way. Guru Maharaj told me, okay, I want you to go to South Africa. And it was like, oh my God, like, can I do it? And I was like, yeah, if I really want him, I have to do it. If I really want to make advancement and surrender to him, I have to do this. So yeah, it just became, and also our training in the old days was very much, we were very surrendered to our authorities. So it's kind of easy to do,
Well, yeah, maybe, I don't know, less so now. I guess maybe.
Yeah. I remember one particular disciple Guru Maharaj had told, he said, why are you living in America? Just come to India. And, he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, and, I think when I did that, that is our philosophy. When you make one step towards Krishna, then Krishna makes a lot towards you. So, and also you have to have faith in the guru that whatever he says, it's personal. It's for it's like he told you something and he knows you, he knows your heart, he knows your level of surrender. So he's giving you that instruction for a reason. That's how I see it.
Knows you better than you know yourself, as they often say.
Yeah. So I guess we should some little tidbits, like when I was just there in the first year, Guru Maharaj would write to me and tell me that there was this devotee who wrote to him, and that particular devotee was asked to go on book distribution, and she was totally overwhelmed that in her inability to be able to sell someone a book. And Guru Maharaj wrote to me and said that really disturbed him. He was so disturbed that there wasn't any devotee that could actually help them overcome that inhibition or that lack in their service. So he wrote to me and he said, I want you to encourage this devotee. I want you to help this devotee overcome this fear. That's how I got involved in training devotees, because it was just, there were new devotees and they were not all Indian. They were Western backgrounds, and and they were asked to do things that wasn't part of their culture, and it was hard for them. So Guru Maharaj like specifically would write to me and say, this devotee needs this help, this devotee needs that help. But it was very interesting because I really took that to heart, what Guru Maharaj would say, and I would like try to help the devotees. But I realized also that even though they needed help, they were not surrendered. So they couldn't even take the help. So that was a whole nother thing. It became, and then Guru Maharaj like would explain, and I remember even going to Indradyumna Swami and saying like, in America, we're so straightforward. If something happens, and he would say, me and Bhakti Charu Maharaj, we both feel you're just the best person. Don't worry about what people think. Just do what you have to do. I said, okay. So from I landed in Durban, but I ended up in Cape Town because Guru Maharaj wanted me to preach more to younger people, because I was young at that time. But before I went there, we traveled. Gaur Hari, I think you might know the dates better than I do, but there was a trip that we went to Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, Vrindavan, and then back to Mayapur. Is that the trip you went on? Because those were the pictures that you just put up.
Yeah. So that was a bit like yourself. I mean, I was new to Krishna consciousness relatively. I was, being connected only a few months, and then Guru Maharaj invited me to travel with him, and as you remember, many of you will recall, during the time of his Vyas Puja, he would organize these pilgrimages, and groups of, I don't know, up to 50, 60, 70 devotees from different parts of the world would travel with Guru Maharaj. Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, Vrindavan, like that. So I joined a pilgrimage trip, and I think it was in 1990 is the one I joined. Then I did sort of go back again on a few others, right? But the first one, and I think it may well have been as early as 1990 or 91.
Yeah. No, he did one in 1990. That's why I'm asking you, because I have my dates wrong on that, because I went in 91. I mean, I went in 1990, and then I went again in 91. I went 2 years in a row. And then the third one was like the end of 93. I went to that one also. But which ended up in New York, where Guru Maharaj was still GBC there, and he was about to give up his GBC duties in New York. So I think it was Hamsa Duda. So the point was that he brought his godbrother Hamsa Duda on the trip, because this was kind of, Guru Maharaj was still in the mood of trying to repair ISKCON and bring the devotees back in an encouraging environment, and Hamsa Duda had swayed away pretty badly. So Guru Maharaj had invited him to travel with him. And that was the year that I think I was teaching him harmonium. We traveled, Atma Tattva Prabhu, he was in Jagannath Puri. He took us to Jagannath Puri, and every night we had bhajans, kirtan, pastimes of Lord Jagannath, and it ended with Jagannath Mahaprasad for everyone. All these little lotas from the Jagannath Puri Mandir would show up. And we were quite a few people. I think we were like 60 to 70 devotees, if I'm not mistaken. And we would all take prasadam together. And it was such a loving environment. I think that a lot of devotees speak that in today's ISKCON, devotees need inspiration to get motivated to do their service. Well, I would say that Guru Maharaj was already doing that. That was like in 1991, 92. he would just inspire devotees. Devotees were just so inspired under him. And Hamsa Duda, he was able to bring out the best in everyone. So Hamsa Duda would also sing, and he felt very loved, I feel. The way Guru Maharaj made him feel. And again, it's the same principle of Vaishnava etiquette, really honoring his godbrothers in front of his disciples to show the unity in ISKCON. This was like, again, the same, it carried on the same mood in these years where he was really passionate about. So some of the songs that one of the first songs, I even have his handwritten.
Oh,
I
wow.
kept all his handwritten notations from the songs that we learned. I don't know if anyone can see them, but this is, can everyone see that? It was really nice because it was the first song that we had to write down the notations for him. It was Jai Radha Madhava. He wanted to play the harmonium with Jai Radha Madhava. So I would tell him what notes and he wrote it down and he would practice.
That's
and
wonderful.
I know. And you know, at the end of this trip, after we went to so many places. So everywhere we went, he had me play the harmonium for him, which was like amazing. That was like real nectar for me. And because I could practically pick up any key, he would just sing and I would just follow. It was like pretty easy for me to do that. And then at the end of the trip, he gave me the harmonium. It was Guru Maharaj's harmonium. It was bought by Chaitanya Das for our travels. And Guru Maharaj called me in because every day for like 30 minutes, we had harmonium lesson. So he would say, I want to sing this song, and he'd start singing, and I would write the notations down of what it is on the harmonium, and then he would practice. So he called me in and he said, you know, it's the end of our trip. I don't know what to do with this harmonium. Can I give it to you? And of course I was like, yes. I was just beside myself. Yes, please, you know. So he gave me the harmonium as a gift. I think it was, he just said it like that so I wouldn't feel embarrassed. But yeah, that was like more, I still have that harmonium. Unfortunately, a devotee played it for a program that we had at the college, and he kind of damaged it. So I'm in the process of getting it fixed, because that's like one gift that I got from Guru Maharaj that I will always cherish. So so then I got reinitiated in 1991. And this is where, so we were helping Guru Maharaj a lot in cooking. This is where I met Prema Manjari. Prema Manjari was helping Srimati do the 108 names of, like, people would chant in this park, their rounds, just local people that would come to visit Mayapur, so they would teach them how to chant japa. So Guru Maharaj introduced me to Prema Manjari, but I kind of already knew her because I kind of saw her in England when I was there. She was doing her studies there, I believe, and she had just finished and come back to Mayapur. And so Guru Maharaj said, this is Prema Manjari, and she's like a daughter to me. So he said, you can help her prep things in the kitchen. So we became friends, and we were helping clean the vegetables, clean the pots, get stuff together. Guru Maharaj was making pizza for all his godbrothers, and of course his traditional things. He would come up with a menu, and Prema would kind of organize where to get everything because she was from Mayapur. I mean, like, lived there. So I would just kind of be the assistant, and this is how I kind of learned to love cooking. So Guru Maharaj told me, I want you to learn how to cook because that's the best way to please a Vaishnava. So it was all along being the servant of Vaishnavas. This was like one of the qualities that he said, learning how to cook. So I told him, oh yes, Guru Maharaj, I would love to learn how to cook, but I really would like to learn Bengali style because, you know, at that time I came from Laguna Beach. We're emphatic about everything Bengali. So I also wanted to learn Bengali cooking. So he said, oh, that will be at the end of your trip. You can stay with Chaitanya Das and they will teach you how to cook. So his mother-in-law was the expert cook. And when we, towards the end of the trip, the beginning of the trip and the end of the trip, it always started with Mayapur and ended with Mayapur. But before we would go to Mayapur, we would stop at Chaitanya Das's house and they would offer Guru Maharaj literally a 30 items on the plate, huge thali, and they would bring everything in order. So Guru Maharaj kind of educated us about how to eat. And I remember I had a book that I took all these notes, but that book got stolen from me in South Africa. I hope if somebody has it, they'll come forward, because it was really all the nectar of instructions of cooking for Guru Maharaj was in there. So one of the things was he told us, so we all would sit, it would be like, maybe like 20 devotees, and we would sit in Chaitanya Das's house all on the floor, and they would bring out the thalis, and he would tell us what every preparation was. And these were, I had an interest because I loved deity worship, and you know, the descriptions in Chaitanya Charitamrita about, you know, all the preparations. So Guru Maharaj would say, yes, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they would have this preparation. So Guru Maharaj had his specific favorites, and one of them was butter paneer masala, which became a famous sabji in South Africa because devotees learned how to make it. And that was like the sabji everybody made. When Guru Maharaj would come, they would make butter paneer masala. So we learned it from Chaitanya Das's wife. She taught us how to make it. And Shukta was the other one, but Guru Maharaj really liked parval. So in Bengali cuisine, they make stuffed parval. And I didn't know what's parval. So Guru Maharaj compared it to like a little mridanga. He said parval is like their little mridangas. So I think it's very, I mean, parval is the Hindi name. I forgot what the Bengali name is. They just pronounce it a little differently.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh?
I think I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you know, yeah. So
I remember portal. I mean,
portal.
one devotee said portal.
It's portal, right? Yeah. So Guru Maharaj liked stuffed portal. So Malini would, and it's stuffed with potato inside, so she would clean it out. I learned everything how to do it. It was all in my cookbook, which got stolen. But yes, so that was one of his favorite preps. And of course, at the end of every meal, Guru Maharaj always ordered Chaitanya Das to buy rasgullas. I don't know if you remember Gaurahari, but there was like clay pots, like stacked high of, you know, sweets, especially sandesh and rasgullas. So we had, and Guru Maharaj would insist that we would eat to our heart's content. We had to have many rasgullas and many sandesh. And this was the place where Prabhupada had authorized the devotees to buy the milk sweets for the Calcutta temple. So that was the particular place. So that's the cooking part. That was an amazing. Later did I not know, but Guru Maharaj actually told me that that he wanted me to always cook for Vaishnavas. That was like a personal instruction to me, that he wanted me to cook. So I took that very seriously. I not only did I learn Bengali cooking, I've learned now all types of cooking, and that has been my main service for the last, I don't know, 30 years. In South Africa, I was cooking for the university program. We established a beautiful catering in Cape Town Temple at the university. I was in charge of the university program, and I had different students. Like with the preaching in South Africa, like you said, Gorahari, it was amazing. It's there wasn't any red tape. You were able to preach, and Guru Maharaj really pushed his disciples to become preachers there. That made him the happiest. He would push for book distribution. He would push for college preaching. He had an amazing disciple, Shruti Kirti, who actually started the college preaching in Cape Town. He developed it very nicely, and I was working with him. And then he left to become the president in Durban. Then I was alone, and then he sent devotees. So in 1991, I was telling everyone that I was working with Prema Manjari. So Guru Maharaj kind of knew I was a little like lonely in Cape Town. I didn't really know anyone. So he decided that he would send Prema Manjari. He would also send Vilas Manjari, another devotee who was at the time in Mayapur, but she was from Laguna Beach originally. And he just thought, I'm going to send people to help you preach. So that was kind of his mood, always like, and then he sent Balaram and Subhadra and Govinda. He sent a whole nother crew to South Africa, because in South Africa, there was not a lot of diverse preaching. The preaching was basically centered on the Indian community, and Guru Maharaj really wanted diverse preaching in South Africa. The GBC sent him there to create that. So between Indradyumna Swami and Guru Maharaj, they really pushed for that. So Cape Town was the center for diverse preaching, and I think it still is. So the university program was a way to like reach out to many diverse groups in South Africa. And it became very successful. The preaching program was amazing. And Guru Maharaj was very, very proud, because he felt like he was able to make a dent in that service that the GBC had given him. And that's why he would send devotees there to enhance the diverse preaching. And we started a restaurant at the University of Cape Town. It's a little kiosk. I believe it's still running. And it really supported the temple there. So, and also there was a group of congregation that developed. So Prema Manjari, myself, and at that time he was Bhakti Kailash, now he's Krishna Kirtan Das, and my husband. We preached in to the Indian community, because the Indian community in Cape Town wasn't as developed. So when I say diverse, we had the college for Westerners, then we had the Indian community. Shruti Kirti kind of started it, but he had to leave. So we had a group, and Prema Manjari was on that team, myself, Rati Manjari, couple of the Bhaktins who were very good at preaching. And now we have, I always forget his initiated name because I only know him as Amrit Prag and his wife, Prema, it's Prema Amrita, I think, right?
Prema Amrita and Kanka Baja.
Yes.
Kanka Baja.
So this couple were amazing because in our outreach program for the Indian community, they knew everyone. And they were instrumental in helping us reach everyone in the Indian community. And they were personally like my parents in South Africa, because my parents, I was far away from them. I didn't know anyone. And they would invite me over to take rest, and they would feed me. And they just adopted me like their daughter, and they really took care of me. And they helped the preaching a lot. They gave a lot of donations to the temple. And I believe now they're one of the main people who help Cape Town Temple financially. They do service. They have amazing children. And yeah, I mean, from that preaching, just like these amazing devotees have come about. And that's all Guru Maharaj's mercy, because Guru Maharaj would come and he would take care of all of these people. He would go to their homes. He just nurtured them. And so Cape Town became like the place in South Africa. It became, ever since Guru Maharaj started preaching there, it just developed and developed, and it just became better and better. It was quite amazing what Guru Maharaj did there. And then slowly, I think as things developed in Cape Town, there was some new managers that came. I mean, Guru Maharaj did bring a new manager in. Eventually, some of the devotees that were visiting from overseas, they left. And it just became harder for myself and to stay there. And I think at that point, I needed to get married. And that was also another amazing event in my life, because Guru Maharaj personally guided me. He was there before I got engaged. He gave his blessings. And then he was there for our wedding. And he gave the most practical advice. That's what I loved about Guru Maharaj, because even though he's a sannyasi, he was able, he just knew everything. And he gave incredible advice to me. He said, let Kailash work and make lots of money and give it to Krishna. That was like his advice. And he said, he has a good heart. He will always take care of you. And actually, it's quite amazing, because Guru Maharaj had so much insight. He even knew like how he had faith in my husband, where a lot of people didn't. They thought, oh no, this is a mismatch and da-da-da-da. And there's a lot of politics. So I was going through a lot of difficult times there. And Guru Maharaj just said, why don't you go to Durban? Go back to Durban and preach there. They need help with the university preaching. So my husband and I, we were not married then. We went, but he lived, I think, at the ashram, and so did I. And we developed the preaching, university preaching. But Guru Maharaj wasn't coming as often because he was working on Abhay Charan. He started, that was like his next project, the next phase. But during that time also, there was some problems in ISKCON that were arising, where people were going outside for ISKCON to get help. And Guru Maharaj wrote me a beautiful letter. And I think that that letter is really nice, because whenever we have difficulties, whenever I had difficulties in my spiritual life with like politics or problems in the temple, Guru Maharaj would just write this like amazing letter to me. And he always said, difficulties will always be there, but you have to move on. It's like, have faith in Krishna. So he wrote this to me, and I think it's very nice. So I'm going to read this. So Guru Maharaj said, I can understand how you're feeling now, but always remember that in Krishna consciousness, you have to maintain your enthusiasm, patience, and conviction. Actually, this movement is being protected and directed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he will take care of everything. Therefore, we simply have to render our service without worrying. We simply have to become his instruments in his mission. Personally, we should not desire anything besides becoming selflessly engaged in his service. So very often he would write this to me, that I had to go much deeper into what was the reasons behind why things happen. And he actually, I think it was I moved to Cape Town, in Durban, like the end of 94. Yeah, end of 94. And Guru Maharaj was coming less and less because of his other projects that he was doing. But there was a lot of problems outside of ISKCON that were trying to influence the gurus. It was Narayan Maharaj and all these different difficulties that started arising in ISKCON. So I remember one specific day he called me in. He had just come from India. And he said to me, this is ISKCON. This is our movement. I don't want any of my disciples to partake in anything outside of ISKCON. I want everyone to be in ISKCON. This is his movement. This is Prabhupada's movement, and we are not unchaste. We need to stay in the movement and protect the movement. So it was a personal instruction to me. I took it very to heart. And as now, 22 years forward, I really see that instruction. It's been great because I always remember that. And so we stayed in Durban. We continued our preaching. We had 7 preaching programs. And Guru Maharaj instructed me, because he wasn't coming to Durban a lot. And this was something that was prevalent, I think, maybe because of a lack of trust in gurus or whatever, but sometimes there was lobbying for one guru in South Africa, because there were several gurus. It wasn't just Giriraj Swami and Bhakti Charu Swami. There was at least 7 gurus at that time in South Africa. So this instruction for me was personal, but yet universal, because it also kind of laid out what my life would be like. I had no idea. The letter didn't really mean that much to me at that time, but now when I see it so many years later, I think, wow, Guru Maharaj had such a vision. He like saw everything without. So he wrote this, and he said that Giriraj Maharaj is going to South Africa. Please take care of him as nicely as you all take care of me. I have noticed often disciples do not show the same kind of enthusiasm or respect towards other gurus. I do not want this to happen to my disciples. I want them all to become united under the banner of ISKCON at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. with his divine grace in the center, and we all become related to each other in the big family of ISKCON. This was really Guru Maharaj. I mean,
to the T.
to the T. This was really, like when I look back in the letters, I think that these are lifetime instructions, really, really lifetime. And it pertains even today, like, I mean, it was very hard, you know, Guru Maharaj leaving. I had to like read his letters a lot to realize, like, you know, what was happening. And then I had a dream about him shortly after he passed. And he said that, okay, it was a very interesting scenario because I was related to Prema Manjari in some ways. So we were in a temple and Guru Maharaj's body was lying there in a coffin, like a clear glass. And Prema Manjari was constantly crying in the dream. And I was standing next to her and I was trying to console her. And then Guru Maharaj opened his eyes and he was like alive, lying there. And he looked at her and he said, "Why are you crying? I will always be there for you." And then he looked at me and he said, "I will always be there for you too." And I woke up and it was like, you know, because at first I was so devastated, I couldn't even cry. I was just like trying to be strong. And I remember Giraj Swami personally calling me and asking me how I'm doing. And I couldn't really speak. And then we had to have like a memorial for him at his place. And I had to gather all these pictures and I just realized that at 1 minute he's there, next minute he's not. But all his instructions really has like, he kind of created a life for me because my husband took initiation from Giraj Swami. And then we ended up coming, we left South Africa and we came at a time where Giraj Swami had a heart condition and, you know, we had to take care of him. And I ended up becoming his cook, like all the things that Guru Maharaj told me to do, like serve the Vaishnavas through cooking, you know, serve my God brothers as if you're serving me. All those became alive, like, you know, without even me trying or doing anything, it just happened that way. So when he left, physically left, I thought, well, I have Guru Maharaj with all his instructions to me for my whole life. And I was blessed that, you know, Giraj Swami was here and he kind of, I mean, he helped because he loved Guru Maharaj too. And, you know, we all cried at the memorial, all of us, including him. But he kind of gave me that strength. And I felt like the helping hand he gave me was directly Guru Maharaj, because Guru Maharaj told me all those things, all those years, and they became alive. I had to like practice everything he told me. So, yeah, everybody knows Guru Maharaj is great. I don't even have to say it, but I'm sure that every devotee has their personal relationship with Guru Maharaj. And actually, I continued to dream about Guru Maharaj after that. In many occasions, he started telling me what to do in the dreams, in fact, and it was like amazing. I thought, oh, well, this isn't so bad. At least I get to see him more often. when he was in America, he would come, and actually the last time he came to America was in 2019. And my husband and I, we run the children's booth at the Rath Yatra in Los Angeles for the Los Angeles Temple. And I make all the crafts. So Guru Maharaj had previously come to Rath Yatra, but this time he came into my booth and there was no one there. It hadn't started. And he walked around and he wanted to know what every craft was and how it was done. He just spent time with me like that, which he had never done. And little to my knowledge, it would be the last time I'd see him. But I remember, so I told him, so please come, because he never came to my house. Every time he'd come, he would stay with Giriraj Swami because he wanted to be with his godbrothers. So I only could cook for him when he came. And there's another disciple here, Giridhari Priya, who took initiation from Guru Maharaj. And we would cook together. Oftentimes when Guru Maharaj would go to LA, we would cook for him. But it's, it was just like, I'd only see Guru Maharaj for an hour. That was it. So we were very lucky back then that we got to see Guru Maharaj so much and serve him. We were very lucky. Yeah. I don't know if anybody wants to ask. I think I can't speak more because I'll start crying. So
thank you. Thank you for sharing such wonderful memories. And as you say, it's a letter that you received 20, 30 years ago, and that instruction suddenly comes to life. It's much more kind of pertinent and relevant today than perhaps it was, or even if not, or even more than when he first wrote it. So that was wonderful memories. So dear devotees, please take this opportunity to ask some questions. So I would encourage everyone, please, to ask a question. I know we have devotees from South Africa, Europe, US. So yeah. And there's a link.
It was so wonderful to be able to speak. Thank you for actually giving me that opportunity, because when you speak and you share your realizations, it even goes deeper. So thank you for that opportunity. It was really wonderful to speak.
It's really Prema Manjari's initiative, actually, and I'm just trying to assist. And for me, it's I hope lots of devotees find it inspiring. Kind of a Sunday morning here in the UK at the end of the week or beginning of the next week, and it's an opportunity to reorientate and actually, remember Guru Maharaj and some of those, get that connection. And I think, as Guru Maharaj said in some of his final lectures, he makes that analogy of the mother who hides away behind a curtain, and then it's up to the child who's learning to walk to find his mother. And we're in that, I feel at least, we're in that position, and even more so, that need to find Guru Maharaj through either his god brothers, god sisters like yourself, who have had a relationship, a particular perspective, and it's being able to share that. And that diversity is so encouraging, as you're just listening to your remembrances, which will be different from everybody else's, of course. And it's that whole tapestry, actually. So, no, thank you very much.
Somebody wanted the notation of the, let me find it again and show it to everyone. I think they wanted that notation. I can always send a picture of it.
Sure.
I just put it somewhere. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh,
There's
I have.
one question.
Oh, okay. You have a question?
There's one question. It's about, in relation to dreams. Should we consider it real or imaginary? Sometimes when Guru Maharaj appears in dreams, is it, sometimes I don't know, you think, I've not been privileged with that experiences yet. So, maybe you can shed some light on that.
Well, I can share when Tamal Krishna Goswami passed away in 2000. That night, the next day, I had this dream about him. And it was like a whole journey. Like I went to every yatra he preached to. And in that dream, all the things that I ever there was one devotee in particular in that dream that was very offensive to Tamal Krishna Goswami. And she was like my leader. And in maybe 20 years before all of this, that devotee badmouthed Tamal Krishna Goswami to me and said, oh, he's not, I don't want to even repeat what she said. So in the dream, Tamal Krishna Goswami told me that I should not have listened to her. She was offensive. She didn't know anything about him. Who could have known that? That was such a personal, and it was so long ago. I didn't even think anything, but that particular devotee actually had done service in Dallas. And in that journey, Tamal Krishna Goswami took me to Dallas. It was she was a Gurukul teacher, and it was in a classroom, and he told me that. It was so bizarre. And the next day I called Giriraj Swami and I asked him, what are dreams? Should we take them seriously? And he said, absolutely. Yeah. So they're not our imagination. Srila Prabhupada did say that in a dream state, we're also working out a lot of our desires, our material conditioning. But when you dream of a spiritual master, when you dream of a spiritual person, it's real. And I think Giriraj Swami told me that a lot of things are revealed to devotees through dreams by their spiritual master. It is because even the 6 Goswamis, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the planet, if you see in the acharyas, they have dreams where there was one particular dream of the deity came into the dream of one of the Goswamis and said, you're not feeding me. Yeah. So in our history, dreams are relevant. Especially spiritual personalities, but having a dream, I had a dream that I actually took my last breath and died, but that was a long time ago. So that wasn't anything significant, maybe, but to dream of one's guru, I think it is significant. It is. Someone just said something in the chat though, that that Guru Maharaj said something, right?
This is Vinod Manjari. Also based in the UK. Guru Maharaj told me dreams of the spiritual master are a reality, not a dream. I told him of my dream of Srila Prabhupada. He told me dreams of the spiritual master are reality. I'll try and find, there's a copy of it.
And also, personally, if you don't have a dream about your guru, doesn't mean that he's not thinking of you. Some people are just more perceptive. They perceive things more through dreams. For me, I've always had that. I always I didn't even know Tamal Krishna Goswami. I just met one time at Giri's Biraj Maharaj's place before he passed, like he came that year. That's it. I didn't know him at all, but he came to my dream, and it was like a blessing. It was really, and I remember waking up feeling he was in the room. It was like that real. It was so like, and I think Maharaj had me record it and tell him everything that I dreamt about. I think I have a recording of it because it was also very significant in a sense that where he died, where the accident was, it was where Haridas Thakur used to chant there. And in the dream at the end, it was kirtan. And he said, you know, I'm the manifestation of the holy name. And it was just the way it was like some kind of like special mercy that I got from Tamal Krishna Goswami, because it was a very profound dream. And then when I dreamt about Guru Maharaj, and I was like, for a long time, I did not dream about Guru Maharaj. But those dreams, and very often before Guru Maharaj passed, I was having several dreams about him. Like meaning before he got COVID and he was in the hospital, I was having dreams about him. So, yeah.
Definitely dreams of a spiritual master are not imaginary at all. They're much real, and it's another level in which we are connecting with our spiritual master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Yes, more questions. Okay.
Yeah, there's. I'm going to invite Gertrude Prada Devi. She has her hand raised, so if you can ask your question. Jeez.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Can we see her? Or?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Please go ahead with your question.
I'll put my video on, just give me 1 second. Yeah. Hare Krishna Mataji. So nice to have your association this morning. I just had a question and feel very inspired when you're speaking about Vaishnava etiquette. Like, how important is it for us to hear about Vaishnava etiquette from Guru Maharaj, and yeah, how important is it? That's my question. And that we apply it to our life.
Gaurahari, is she asking, because it's breaking up on my end, I can't hear it.
Yeah. If I got it right, correct me if I'm wrong, how important is it to hear about Vaishnava etiquette from Guru Maharaj? I believe that was the question.
Well, I think it's very important, because for me, when you read about Vaishnava etiquette, the first person that comes into your mind is Guru Maharaj, because he was the perfect Vaishnava in all respects. He followed it to the T in his own personal life. His leadership skills, his relationships with his god brother, his relationships with his disciples, it was all based on that. Everyone said that. I remember when I first went to South Africa, there was a booklet that we printed on Vaishnava etiquette. Did you ever get that, Gaurahari? Do you have?
Well, Guru Maharaj, you may recall, he VIHE seminar, right. Vaishnava etiquette, and I think, yes, there is a booklet as well, right, which they, at least here in the UK, use as the basis of when devotees are being recommended for initiation. we go through, the mentor would go through that book on Vaishnava etiquette with the devotee, prospective candidate, so that they get an understanding of how important it is and how we conduct our relationships with other devotees. And paramount importance, I would say.
I think,
Given that Guru Maharaj also gave a whole course in VIHE on it.
Yeah, I mean, if devotees are interested, I'm sure that they can get recordings.
Yes.
And also
And I think,
reading Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, there's a lot in those two books about behavior of devotees. But at the same time, Guru Maharaj was not like Niyamagraha or anything. He followed the rules, but he also made exceptions to the rules because of his spiritual principle.
right.
Did that answer it? I don't know if that answered her question. I don't know if it was the right angle that we approached it, but.
Yes, Mataji, that was, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Where are you from? Are you from England? Oh, bad connection, I think.
Okay. Any other questions devotees would like to ask?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
You know,
Please.
I'm under the name Agnes Hellmiller, but I was Bhakti Ines, and then you remember I got initiated also in Cape Town, and I'm Radha Priya. But
I remember you very well.
you remember, right? I was just thinking, oh, dear Kandarpa Manjari, you just will notice that I was one of those times, you know, devotees around you. We were appreciating you so much, you know, we were all younger. You had that fire, especially when we went to Cape Town's, how you call it? We didn't say university. How you said it always?
It was
on the camp, or how you call it?
UC, wait.
Let's go to that.
Yeah. I can't remember the name. Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, that's my difficulty. It's so nice to hear. If you still remember of this time a little bit, because somehow my rusty brain, maybe because I was so young and, you know, so many other little troubles were maybe taking all my attention. But now reflecting on that time, I would be wondering again, how was like a day when we went there to the University of Cape Town? We called it.
Well, usually the days were very, like in the morning, I would cook and devotees helped with the cooking. And we would take, there were certain days that we did the university preaching. So we would take the prasadam to one of the halls, I remember, and we'd give a talk. We'd have kirtan, we'd give a talk, and then we'd distribute prasadam. And then we would preach to the devotees. But I think, did you used to have braids and wear glasses?
No, I just had long hair, no glasses.
No glasses, okay.
The real Rati Manjari, our college.
Yeah, she would come with us, yeah.
She had glasses, but who else had glasses?
No, I was just trying to place you because my memory is so bad.
It was Krishna Priya.
Yes. It was Krishna Priya. It was Srimati Manasi. Yes, Manasi Ganga. And who? Gita. What was your tell me your name is Radha Priya, right?
Yes.
You're Radha Priya now, right? Yeah.
I got initiated Shruta Kirti, Krishna Priya, and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know exactly who you are. So yeah, now I remember you totally.
I'm still with, that kind of, clown. I have something clown-like inside me. Maybe because of I was always working with children, like kindergarten teachers.
You were amazing. Don't say that, Radha Priya. Actually, Radha Priya was very amazing because when she came, she brought like life into the ashram because she was always very happy. It's very hard to find people that that are like very joyful all the time. And Radha Priya was one of those people.
Hey, that's kind of
she was always, she brought life into the ashram and it was amazing.
But I could also cry, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we all did that. I think young women all living together is bound to happen. But where are you now, Radha Priya? Where do you live?
I live in Winterthur. That's a city in the region Zurich, Switzerland.
Please send me your email. I'd love to stay in touch with you. I've lost touch and I would love to.
Maybe. I don't know. We are not so many devotees now in the or do I don't see? Oh,
there's 47.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm saying Hare Krishna to everybody, but I feel so homely, speaking to you. It's like it sends me back in those years, in the very, very beginning of, practicing.
Well, thanks to Prema Manjari who had the idea, because I think this is so good, because also not just for this the speaker and also the listeners, because it takes you back to remembering Guru Maharaj and what he did.
Yeah,
amazing.
And that's what you say.
On a small remembrance of my own, which is probably a little bit embarrassing for me, but if you don't mind me sharing it,
please.
You were there, Kandarpa Manjari, of course. This was in Bombay, Juhu, Mumbai, and so Guru Maharaj and myself were staying in the guest house, and the alarm went off late. Well, basically, neither of us got up, and there was a flight to catch, and so we were really late for the flight. And then Guru Maharaj just woke me up and said, go down, rush downstairs, right, and see if the taxi's there. So I just ran downstairs into the guest house lobby with just my gumshoe on and just froze. And then it was like Kandarpa was sitting there, I think on one of the sofas, and I suddenly realized, oops, this is not such a good look at all. And yeah, I don't know if you remember that, Kandarpa.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But, in India, it's pretty common early in the morning. If you think
there was a whole lobby of guests, and in Mumbai, there's quite well-to-do people, and then me running into the lobby with just my gumshoe on. They're probably wondering, what kind of place is this? And I just froze, looked around, and then ran back upstairs.
That was still, though, it's kind of like, it kind of reminds you, like Guru Maharaj would just say one thing to you and you'd be like, oh my God, like you just acted without sometimes thinking that. I mean, that's in all of us, we do that. I mean, sometimes when I go to serve Giriraj Swami, like the new servants, when they come, they're like that. They're really like, Maharaj will just say, you know, where's my chapati? I mean, he's being practical. Where's my chapati? And the devotee like drops the plate. I can't find the chapati or something, you know. This, you know, I think like it is like that, like in personal service, because you just like caught off guard and you want to please the person, and you know, you'll do anything, you know, coming down with your gamsha to see if the taxi had arrived was one of those like, oh my God, I got to do something, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I will share that one. But thank you. I know also I want to thank Kandarpa Manjari, because in America, of course, it's very early in the morning. Just started at 3:30 a.m. Right. So you know, thank you very much for that. And I think you also have the song as well.
Yeah. So I don't know what should I take a picture and post it in the. Do people want to see it?
Yeah, if you can, what you can do, if you can take a picture, send it to me, and then we'll try and get it around to everybody.
Okay, so you don't want me to take it now and put it in the chat?
Oh yeah, if you can do that. If
yeah, let me
convenient enough
do
to
that.
do that.
Let's see.
যারা এই একাদশী ব্রত পালন করবে তারা
no, I'm not able to do it. It doesn't give you the it doesn't
say if maybe if you can send it to me, and then we'll find a way of getting it out.
Somebody just said whoever requires a picture, they can contact us. Okay, so I'll send out on WhatsApp. I'll send it to you. I mean, I have so many things of Guru Maharaj that he wrote. I mean, if you guys want to preserve it, or like, I don't know, because I mean, for songs, you know, because yeah, I mean, because that was my thing. I would sing bhajans, right? Yeah. So
yeah, if you can send that across, then we'll have it included. So thank you. So,
thank you again.
Thank you. And I just want, well, maybe we can chant one round, one mantra all together. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Advaita Gadadhar Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Thank you.
You were great, Gaura Hari. I must say, you were so good in facilitating. Thank you.
As I said, I'm a caretaker. So we look forward to having all your association next week again, and for another session. And so thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.